Welcome to the R&B podcast. My name is Austin, and here again with me today is Gerard.
What's going on, everyone?
So today is Monday. It is Mindset Monday. And with that being said, today we're talking about egos. Why they're good, why they're bad, why ego is more than what you think it is. A lot of times I think we have this kind of misconstrued idea of what the ego actually is. Somebody just thinks, "Oh, look at that guy. He's full of himself. Man, his ego is crazy." But the ego actually extends way more than that. Why don't you lighten us a little bit on that, Gerard?
Exactly. So what Austin was kind of mentioning is so true. We think of ego, we think, oh, that guy thinks he's all that, or she thinks she's all that. They talking about themselves all the time and everything they're doing. But when we really break down the ego net is the safety net within what we identify with. And so I didn't fully grasp this until I went through the worst of my times. And then I started to realize the ego is much more than just, oh, I'm so good at this, oh, I'm so much better than what they are. It's also, oh, I'm in so much pain. Oh, I suffer so much. Oh, I've got it way worse than they do. Oh, you think you have it bad? Well, I went through that. And it's like, So this podcast topic is really about, does your ego run you? Or do you run it? Because when I tell you, you're not going to make any progress if you don't have your ego constantly in check. And some people say, well, whoa. Uh, ego is the success inhibitor. And no, that's a false belief that, hey, you're doing good, so you're doing all this. It's that's your ego letting you be able to do that, or so you can validate the way you talk and stuff. But the second things don't go good for you, and you're in that really tough spot, and you're falling back into bad thought habits, that's also your ego. So your ego is all around you, and it's in so many different ways, so many thoughts and beliefs, and how you identify and go about your life. And what me and Austin have come to learn from a lot of our readings and teaching is really the only way to kind of get rid of your ego is to shed a lot of light on it when you see it in yourself.
Oh, and it is so unbelievably uncomfortable, to have those realizations, because a lot of times I don't think people realize that like our ego is a barrier to uncomfortable situations. What it does is it kind of like it's a veil where it's like, oh no, there's no way. Like tries to protect you from the truth, but sometimes we need to know the truth, and sometimes like it is a harsh reality that you do need to take a punch to the face. I mean, not literally, but like metaphorically speaking, we need to take that punch to the face and get our ego kind of knocked around a little bit, because it's our ego that also keeps us in that comfort zone, which you can't grow outside of that. So, like, what are some of the ways, that ego can necessarily be bad? Well, it holds you to self-limiting beliefs. It makes you think a certain way about yourself, or maybe it makes you think that you're not a certain type of person. It can go both ways. A lot of it is really just us trying to save face. So like, for example, maybe Gerard would do something and or say something, and it's just a general statement, but yet I take offense to it. It's not really that I'm taking offense to it. It's like I have to realize that, like, why am I taking offense to that? It's like, oh, it's because my ego hurt because I had specific expectations of like how I expected this to go, or what I wanted him to say for my own benefit, and it didn't go that way. So now my ego's hurt. So now I'm feeling some type of way because, oh, how could he do that? Well, chances are when Gerard said whatever he said, he could have said like, oh, I hate like grape flavored things and I'm drinking grape flavored water. But how dare you say that to me? That's so rude. How could you hate me like that? That's really my ego making me more important than I really am, and also assuming that everything is about me when it's not. It's not, because most of the time we all have this attraction that we think, oh yeah, I walk in this room and everybody's looking at me. Chances are no one is. So it's just real.
Yeah, we see that happen a lot, and a lot of times it comes from, yeah, a place of self-consciousness, way too much identification in your own thought processes and what you believe and what you set in your mind as your, this is right, this is wrong, I know this is that. If anyone says otherwise, they're against me. And a book me and Austin both read that really helped us out was The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. He also has an additional book, A New Earth, that goes on to this concept of identifying with the ego. If you haven't read either of those books, Eckhart Tolle is arguably this generation's leading spiritual speaker, and as far as uh, getting to a place of consciousness, of conscious thinking. So the ego lives in the subconscious. And if you think about it, it's really true. Like, you don't have to actually think or put forethought into these reactions. They just happen because you feel them, because they're based off an identification, a belief that your ego is attached to. And so, yeah, you see people getting frustrated or all bent out of shape over comments, and what it is it's just a clashing of egos, and we see people lose friends, don't talk to family members, all types of stuff over this, because they let their ego run them. And chances are, if you let your ego run you at some point in time, regardless of how big your ego is or what you think you're doing and all that stuff, it's gonna run you right into a wall, and you're going to get stuck by that wall. And so you can figure out a way to look at things and views and opinions that are outside, limit the scope of your ego. Um, and also recognize when someone is speaking with their ego, acting out of sorts with their ego, that that's just what they're going through. And maybe they haven't taken the time, because most people won't. Most people won't. Their whole span of life won't take the time to really have these self talks with themselves. Um, but we can see with the individuals who do take the time to really just like, oh, maybe let me take a step back and think about this from a conscious level, outside of my own perspective, and try to see where maybe perhaps the other individual is coming from. That's that's hard. It's not what we want to do. It's not a knee-jerk reaction, but the more we can ingrain that into our thinking, our thought process, the more understanding we are, and also the less often we get hurt by what others say. Because chances are, and this is a true statement that I really do believe, is that nobody can hurt you or make you feel a type of way unless you let them. And but you're like, wait, but he said this about me, but she said this about me. It's like, no, no, no. You let what they said define and have a value towards you in a negative way. You gave them power.
Speaking from someone who struggled with self-worth issues for a very long time, I would do that a lot. I would do that a lot. And it took me a really long and painful time to figure out that I was giving my power away to other people because I didn't truly believe in myself and I didn't truly believe in my worth. So I would let other people decide what it was. And now I look at that and I was like, damn, that's kind of fucked up. Like, because I think I'm an awesome person and I do a lot of stuff. And I don't think that. I know that. And that may sound super conceited, but it's just no, I know my self worth. I used to struggle with it for a long time. So that's why I'm proud in saying that I feel that way about myself now, because it took a lot of work to get there. But when you don't feel that way about yourself, you're more likely to let the way that other people think, their judgments, define who you are. And that's where that starts to happen. And that's where you start to see those things. So it's really, if that's something that you're currently doing now, you people say things and it super offends you and you get really mad all the time. It's because you're not set in who you are as a person. And either you don't completely love yourself the way you are, or you don't completely buy it and you're not super confident in it. And that's okay. But what's not okay is just not doing anything about it. You have the power to change that. We all come from different situations. We all come from different like lifestyles, different ways of growing up. So it's going to be different for everybody. But just because that's what you had or where you came from, that doesn't define who you are moving forward. You can do that.
I think that's so true.
If I could do it, you can do it too. So I mean, really, it's not.
Yeah.
It just takes
Yeah.
willing to be uncomfortable.
Yeah, and that's why we get on here and we speak to y'all. And we don't just do this because we hope we're, famous and make fortunes one day or not. It's like we have a message, we have a story. Not only do we want to share ours, we want to hear yours. Like Iron Breed stands for what you're made through, both in the gym and through training, and also through life. And so I love this.
Yeah.
It's way more. It's way more. So I love this quote, and I think it ties in so well with what Austin just said. Is perspective always drives performance. So you got a bad perspective, you're identifying with negativity or letting the outside judgments and views of others determine what you got bad performance. And then also on another end too is if you're always, I'm this, I'm about this, I got this, I'm better than all these people, you're looking down on people. The second you get knocked down, it's gonna flip your whole world upside down. So really all you can do is be you, and I like truly one of the best things you can do is just try to come from a level of respect and understanding for individuals, especially those ones that you struggle to find that for. Because at the end of the day, if you're giving them that power, you're only hurting yourself.
And to follow up on that note where he said respecting those, especially even if you don't completely understand, by being able to respect them, that's the ultimate form of respecting yourself and understanding that you have these differences, because we all have differences. Gerard may like his grilled cheese with the crust cut off. I may love it basted in tomato sauce. We're all different. He might look at that and be like, ew, why would you put tomato sauce on this perfectly great grilled cheese? And I'd be like, well, why the hell would you cut the corners off of that perfectly great grilled cheese? I may not understand why he likes that, but that's what he likes. So I'm going to have to respect that, much like he's respecting me throwing mine in a bunch of different tomato soup, tomato sauce, what have it. So we're all different, but we got to come together and respect that, because if you're out there hating on other people and the stuff that they love, what good does that do you?
Exactly. You're misplacing your energy. You're putting it in areas that you don't need to. So as you go into this Monday and you start off this week right, have those gut checks. Have those little moments where you're like, oh, is that my ego? Did I? Yeah, yeah. Because it's uncomfortable and you're gonna feel it. I when I say you, I do it so many times in the day where if I start feeling a little something bugging me, or I'm slipping in like a poor headspace or thought process, damn, there's my ego again, just going at work. And what especially when we mentioned that book, The Power of Now, we talked about shining a light on your ego. That really is how. It's the only way to lessen it, because the second you can have that acceptance with yourself and recognize, oh, this is my ego, that grip, that feeling that you held so strongly just moments ago, you feel it start to dissipate. So recognize it. Recognize when your ego is running you, because you got to run it.
Absolutely. We can all have a little book club moment. A book that both Gerard and I want to read is called The Ego is the Enemy. I almost said The Book is the Enemy. It could be. I haven't read it yet, so I don't know. But it's by Ryan Holiday. He writes for the Daily Stoic, which I don't know about you. I actually get those emails sent to my inbox, and I read them every morning. They're very cool, very great for your perspective. But anyway, should be an interesting read. We haven't read it yet. If you have read it, let us know what you think. But if you haven't read it yet, why don't we all hop on board and read this book, and we can have a little book club meeting, talk about it.
That sounds good to me. I know that one's been on our list for a while. I don't know if people if you're on YouTube, You can see my little bookshelf in the background. It's loaded up, so it's all with time. It's but me and Austin are always trying to just broaden our horizons whatever way we can.
Absolutely. So anyway, we hope you have a good week. Go kill it, get it done, make it happen, and don't forget, your ego is your enemy. So with that being said, please leave a review on Apple. Give us a like, follow, subscribe, share with a friend. Anything that you can do helps us out more than you know, and we appreciate it more than you know. Once again, you can catch us on the Iron Breed YouTube and Instagram page. And thanks for listening to the Iron Breed Podcast.